Video, I'm going to be giving you some of the most fundamental moves you need to succeed in Fortnite, and then I'll be showing you exactly how to use them in a fight. If this video helps you out, please consider using code JIVENTV in the Fortnite item shop. And without further ado, let's hop into step 1 of this video. FYI, there are timestamps down below. But step 1 is learning these fundamental moves in creative. We're going to start out with a simple ramp rush. This is the most common way to start a fight. You're building up to your opponent while they're building up to you. You are both ramp rushing. The most protected way to do this is with a ramp, floor, and then wall. That's the most protected way because there's 3 builds strengthening your ramp rush. But if you're trying to race to height, you're probably going to be wanting to sprint and place ramps while sprinting. In that case, you would just place ramps and just be full sprinting up while you're ramp rushing. Now, this isn't always going to get you high ground over the opponent. If they're higher up than you, let's say they're right here, you can do one of these 2 moves to gain extra height and maybe claim it from them. One option is to build front side high walls. You swing walls all up in front of you and try to get walls 2 layers up, and then you can jump on ramps to get over top of those walls. You can choose to go up even higher and place more high walls after jumping on those ramps, or you can stay on that layer and try to piece control from there. A second quicker option in this situation is doing this little maneuver right here. You place 2 walls and then just jump on a quick ramp and then jump out to the side and keep ramp rushing forward. This will get you up 1 extra layer than just normal ramp rushing. With this move, you could just do it again if you need to get up an extra layer. Same with the first one I showed you. You could literally do that on repeat. If you do it once and you don't get the high ground, you usually want to take a different approach for the next high ground attack, which is why we're going to go over some more moves. The move that you're seeing right here is called a 90. You turn in 90-degree angles while jumping up layers. The way you want to do it is first swing the walls, then place a floor and ramp basically at the same time. Make sure you're looking slightly downwards while placing that floor and ramp, otherwise the floor might place above you. This move is the fastest way to get to high ground, but it's not very protected. Your top is open, your sides are open. Basically, the only thing that isn't exposed is your bottom. So if you're already on high ground, you can do this to get up a few extra layers. However, there is a way to make this a bit more protected in some situations. I'm gonna show you my favorite way to use this right now. If you're boxed up like this and the enemy is in this direction, if you go out the opposite side, you can do what's called a protected 90. The difference here is you swing the back wall into place first. That way you're blocking your back, aka the angle where the enemy is. So at any point in the fight, if the enemy is above you and behind you, you can do the protected 90, and it's the fastest way to get to high ground on the enemy. All that matters is that you do it at the right time and protect the right angles while doing the protected 90. And it should work like a charm. On a similar note to the protected 90, there's also this move called the Thwifo cone. Basically, all this is a move that blocks your top and your back. You swing walls behind you and then a cone on top, and you block all those angles behind you. It doesn't get you up layers fast or anything like that, but it's a good way to get up 1 layer very safely. It can be a good way to start a retake. For example, let's go back to the protected 90. You could be leaving your box and do a Thwifo cone and then do the protected 90 after. It's a viable option. Now it's time to show the retake that everybody uses, and there's a reason. Let's say we're boxed up again, and the enemy is behind us again. This is the most protected retake. The way it works is first you place a ramp, and then you swing walls above and in front of you, and then off to either your right or left side, depending on where you think the enemy is. If you think the enemy's to your left, you swing walls to the left. And if you think they're on the right, to the right. And then you top it off with a ramp on top. The reason this retake is so good is because look at how protected it is. You have all of your angles blocked, except for the side that you leave open. So if you're ever trying to initiate a build fight, this is a really good way to do it. Additionally, you can flip the ramps that are above you and jump on top of them. And then when you're on top of the ramp, you can do the same retake all over again. So you jump onto the flipped ramp and you place walls above you and then a ramp on top. You can do that on repeat, but that's a little bit more advanced. I do have more advanced building tutorials where I talk about stuff like that. Now we're almost through the fundamentals, but this is one of the most important ones. Knowing how to create boxes efficiently. Basically, you want to get the floors placed as soon as possible. So what I do is I place the bottom floor, then I place 2 walls I'll place either the left wall if the enemy is on my left, or the right wall if the enemy is on my right. I place whichever wall is of the most danger. And then I place the floor on top, and then build the rest of the walls. The main point of this is you need to get really fast at building boxes, because if you're too slow, sometimes you might get pumped before you finish building the box. And let's say you're in a mid-game fight, once you complete these boxes, get in the habit of placing a cone in your box if you have enough materials. The next thing you need to get comfortable with is side jumping while placing walls. Let's say you're trying to jump around this cone. Get in the habit of having your wall builds out or placing a wall through the cone before actually jumping around the cone. By doing this, you're able to protect your angles while doing a side jump rather than just side jumping fully exposed. For example, if the enemy is on the upper layer and you have your wall build out, you can block his shot with the wall while you're doing the side jump and getting up close to him. So you're blocking his shot, but also getting that wall piece control on him. And by getting that wall, you can then edit through the wall and take a shot yourself. You can even practice dragging walls up an extra layer. This is called a high wall side jump. Doing this will protect even more angles while you're doing those side jumps. Now we're getting into 3 ways to piece control. First, how to piece control from above. You always want to be looking to get a floor and cone on top of your enemy. Then you edit the right side of your floor and cone, place walls around the enemy, and maybe a cone in their box. You can also place a ramp in their box. What pros do after doing all that is place one more wall in front of them and then set up a window or some kind of right-hand peek with that wall. That's just one extra step of precaution. But you can just hop into creative and practice doing this on repeat until you feel comfortable with it. Then piece controlling from below, when you're piece controlling through the wall, if you hug a window peak, you can place cones above and below the enemy and walls around them. I typically go for a window peak when I'm doing piece control from below like this. And then lastly, piece control on your own layer. What you want to start doing is practice placing cones first and then claim the wall in front of you. So drag cones towards the enemy, place the wall in front of you, and then edit a window peak and place the other walls. Cones place further than any other build, which is why you want to practice placing them first. You can even practice doing a cone tunnel, just like I'm doing on screen right here. If you can get this down, it'll help your piece control tremendously. So those are all the fundamental moves that I recommend learning. Get them all down in creative without any pressure on you, and then you can start practicing it in 1v1s. Once you get it down in 1v1s, then you can start transferring it to arena or pubs, whatever you're going to be playing. It's typically a 3-step process to learning new stuff. Practice in creative with no pressure, practice in 1v1s with pressure, and then practice in actual games. That's how I've got all my skills down over the days. To end this video, I just want to show you exactly how you can use these builds in typical fights. I'll show you a few arena clips after I demonstrate this. Okay, I'm going to show you like the most generic fight situation and how you can use these builds in a fight. Most fights usually start out with ramp rushing, so you're pushing up to the opponent like this. Let's say he has height over you. What you can do is that initial move that I talked about at the start of the video. You can go up like this. But let's say they're up too many layers and you need to get up higher. What you would do in that situation is whip out the front side high walls that I was talking about earlier, just like this, until you have an opportunity to either take height or piece control them. But let's say you get on high ground, what would you do next? You would start looking for some of these floors and cones, try to get a floor and cone over top of the enemy, and then go for some piece control. You got to be watching out for side jumps and stuff like that, but yeah, you just want to try to look for piece control from above, take peek shots. But let's say that they're the ones that get high ground. Usually what I'll do in that situation, let's say that he's like up here on a floor and cone and I'm down here like this. What I usually do is I go for peek shots from below. But when you're taking those peek shots, you're exposed. So right as you take the shot, place a wall afterwards. And I just back up, maybe go for another one. But if you do it too many times, they're going to know and they're going to start going for counter peeks. So that's one way you can approach when the enemy has high ground. But another way you can is by going with this retake that we talked about. Doing this right here, swinging the walls with a ramp. This completely blocks that angle, and then you can go up here and do those protected 90s I showed as well. And then all of a sudden you're on high ground. That's only if you have mats though. If you don't have many mats, then what you need to do is create 1 to 3 boxes. Don't sit in one, make 2 to 3 boxes and play peeks from here. Maybe look for a cone play. If you get the enemy coned, you can go for high ground, peek from above. But yeah, just 2 to 3 boxes, play your peeks, play your mats. You know, if you don't have many mats, you can take this play style. So that's typically how a fight goes in arena. Obviously, every single fight is different, but I'll tell you that's pretty much how I approach every situation in a fight. Let me show you a few fights so that you can understand further. So to start this fight, I am ramp rushing, trying to get over the enemy. Once I'm above him, I start looking to get him coned. It all starts with a fight for high ground, and then whoever gets high ground starts pressuring. I'm a very aggressive player, so I immediately dropped to his wall and started getting up in his face. You can see, instead of a flooring cone, I get a rampant cone over top of him, edit down, place the wall behind him, go for the shot. It is just like I was talking about there. In this next fight, we're kind of feeling the situation, trying to figure out what exactly to do. Eventually, we initiate the fight, we're fighting for high ground, but he gets it this time. So I start looking for that peek shot from below like I was talking about. I get a big hit with it, and I get the wall in front of him, so then I do the piece control from below that I showed earlier in the video as well. Get him boxed, he flies away, but I kill him out of the air. I hope this video helps get you on track with fighting and building in the game of Fortnite. I know it's confusing. I have other more advanced tutorials. Once you feel like you fully mastered this, there's always room to improve in this game. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed, hope you learned, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.